negative, all systems are go. Are you sure? Control is not convinced, but the computer has the evidence. No need to abort. The countdown starts. Watching in a trance, the crew is certain, nothing left to chance. All is working, trying to relax. Up in the capsule, send me up a drink. Jokes, Major Tom. The count goes on. 4, 3, 2, 1. Earth below us, drifting, falling, floating waves, calling. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Navigating Your Days with Davo. I am Davo. Excuse me. I would like to, first of all, I got a few things I want to get across. Number one, number two, not number one, number two. Number one, first thing I want to say is this is the second episode. We made it. We got the first one done. We're on to number two. I actually wanted to get it done a lot earlier. I wanted to do maybe 2 weeks in between, but unfortunately, some outbreak monkey gave me the plague and I was down and out for a week. I don't even think I could have talked to you guys if I needed to. So unfortunately, didn't happen. So there's that. And then once I was starting to feel better, the following week, I did the podcast. I put it out there, and as I was sitting there, after I recorded it, I'm watching myself on camera, which is always very weird. I don't love it, but you got to do it. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this is boring as shit. I hate this. I hate everything about this. So I scrapped it, whole thing. I'm like, not doing it. So then now we're at like almost like a month since the first one. First one was Lionsgate, August 8th. We're almost into what, tomorrow's the 6th. Today's the 5th. So it took a little while, but there are a few things that I needed to kind of get right with myself. I remember talking to my wife after I did it, and she was like, "Oh, can I watch it?" I was like, "I don't want you to watch it. I don't love it. It's not good. It's not entertaining. It's not me. It doesn't really what am I trying to say here? Those of you who know me know talking to me, it's like lightning in the bottle. I mean, you feel great after we're done. It's very vibrant. It's very animated. As you can tell, I'm a Leo. I will constantly talk myself up, but it's all good. But yeah, so there was none of that. I couldn't capture it on film. It was almost like I was reading a story to you guys, and it was just, it was boring as shit. Like, I bored myself. I wasn't gonna do it. So I scrapped it, and now we're gonna do Footloose and Fancy Free. We're gonna roll off the cuff. I have a few notes, but I had like pages and pages and pages of stuff that I wrote down that I want to talk to you about, and I was just like, no good. So without further ado, let's start this dumpster fire. And to segue into that word fire, we're in September. What do? You do apple picking, right? If you're like me, you do. And then right after that, we have October. And what do we have in October? We have Halloween. Starts to get a little chilly. There's a spooky sensation in the air. We're covering pumpkins. Things are great. You're feeling great. Then right after that, November. What do we have at the end of November? Oh, start of the holidays. Now, this holiday season, I'm going to help you out. If you have a small house and you have your in-laws come over, and after you cook an amazing feast, where do most of them go? They head straight for the bathroom, and they're going to destroy it. And if you don't have very good ventilation, it's gonna stink. So what I offer to you are these guys. They are Incense Matchbook. You can find them at 130 Main Street, which is the Moonlit Forest. They're like $3, super cheap, but they're the coolest things ever. I like to keep them in the bathroom because sometimes you need it. And it's just like a match, light it, make sure it lights. And then once that sulfur part goes, then, hold on. Oh, you see that? Oh, yeah, here comes the incense. Cool, right? Make sure you have an ashtray because it goes down quick and then you'll burn your fingers. So, but just let it sit there. Smells good. And your bathroom won't smell like someone just had a rough night at Taco Bell. Moving on. Product placement down. Next. Okay. I apologize for not getting the podcast going quickly. I guess we could probably just dive right into it. Oh, before we dive into it, I want to talk about social media real quick. I have a podcast page, Navigating Your Days with Davo, on Facebook, on Instagram. Just started TikTok. Not really popping yet. I just did my first one, so it's going to take a little while to get going there. But I do have alternate social medias. I would like it if you would follow it. I would like it if you would engage. Mainly post a lot of memes. It's where I'm gonna post little clips of the podcast. So make sure you keep up. I want to thank everyone who has liked and followed it and engaged regularly. You guys are the best. I love you dearly. Those who haven't, you still have time. There's plenty of time. You can hop on, man. It's all inclusive. Anyone can come on. So if you've got my invitation and you haven't really engaged yet, come on. It's everyone's friends. It's going to be fun. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. All right. This one's a cool one. This one is, like I told you, we're going to get weird, and this one's going to get weird. This is the Mandela effect. Oh, one more thing that I forgot to tell. See this footloose and fancy free sort of way of doing things? I'm going to get sidetracked, and then I'm going to follow back, and hopefully I can remember what the hell I was talking about. But this is the only way I can really capture the true essence of Davo. So this is what we're going to get. Crap, I totally forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, that's right. So before, when I was doing my original recording, I wasn't having any fun. So we're going to have fun. We're going to get weird. It's going to be awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So the Mandela effect stems from the name Mandela. Anyone know where it comes from? Former African president Nelson Mandela. I feel like in the 80s he was big. I don't really remember. I remember the name Nelson Mandela, but I don't really remember what he was all about. I feel like it had something to do with like being a political prisoner. He ended up in jail at one point, and while he was in jail, there's a group of people that remember him dying in jail. They remember his funeral being televised. They remember his wife crying at his funeral. They remember like all this. Apparently, never happened. He didn't die in jail. He ended up dying in like 2013 of maybe probably cancer. But I think natural causes, like just being old. But there are a lot of people that remember him dying in jail in the 80s. And that's where we get the Mandela effect from. A large group of people that remember specific events happening one way when in actuality, well, their actuality, they think it happened a different way. When I was researching this, all I can find is sort of negative connotations of it. Like there was like nothing that like Google or Brave or DuckDuckGo actually gave me that said, yeah, it's possible that there is widespread scrubbing of the internet going on or possible time slips or anything like that. No, because that's all kind of woo-woo stuff and no one really wants to talk about that. So it's a lot easier to say that we remember things differently and you're wrong. And that's where the gaslighting begins, I guess. Couple examples. First of all, Nelson Mandela. He's probably our main one because it was named after him. Then we have, I like to go with this one, the Monopoly guy. You guys remember the Monopoly guy? He looks like that one percenter that we would like to tax and make sure he pays his fair share. You remember him running down the road with that bag of money, kind of bald guy with the monocle. You do remember him with the monocle, right? Yeah, so do I. Apparently, never had one. That's the Mandela effect for the Monopoly guy. There's a lot of people that remember him having that monocle, and there's people that say it never happened. I remember it. I remember because growing up, we played Monopoly all the time. Me and my sisters, my parents, like it got pretty brutal sometimes. But the Monopoly guy apparently never had a monocle. Now, fast forward from when you're young in the 80s and you remember him with a monocle to Jim Carrey in what is it? Oh my god, I can't remember that movie. The one with the animals. Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, the second one. Oh my god, how did I forget that? So, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Second one, he goes to Africa, and there's this really rich guy that looks like the Monopoly guy, and he even has a monocle. And you remember Jim Carrey putting him over his shoulder and pretending he was like some sort of like I guess prize fur that he wore around his shoulders. It was funny. I remember it, but he remembers him with a monocle. He called him Monopoly guy with the monocle. So that's I don't know. I kind of think, yeah, he had a monocle, right? All right. This one is huge for me. Sinbad. You remember Sinbad? Sinbad made a ton of crappy movies in the 80s. One said movie, which I remember, was called Shazam. He was a genie and he helped. I feel like he helped a kid. I don't 100% remember it, but he was always like working with like some like random white kid. You remember Sinbad and the white kids. So I think he was helping some random white kid, and I almost feel like it kind of looked like Jonathan Taylor Thomas, but it wasn't him, but it was someone like him. And um Sinbad says he was never in that movie. It never happened. And like any instance of that movie is completely scrubbed off the internet. I remember the movie. I remember watching it. And there's a lot of people out there that remember that movie. There's actually people who've like posted on Reddit with the actual jacket cover, the VHS jacket cover of that movie. But apparently never happened. Never happened at all. Yeah, and even Sinbad, he's come out and he's said he's never played in a movie like that. There's no form of like IMDb or anything like that. It just never happened, apparently. I'm calling bullshit though. After that, Bernstein Bears. You guys remember the Bernstein Bears? I believe there were four of them. There was the mom, the dad, Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and then the two cubs. I don't remember their names, but we grew up on the books. We grew up. There were cartoons of it. All Bernstein Bears were like a big part of my childhood. And this one is like, I don't know. I think it's kind of stretching with the Mandela effect because it's all about like spelling. They said that Bernstein Bears, I remember it, the the last part of it was Stein, Bernstein Bears, Steen Bears. But they said it's always been Bernstein Bears, like a stain on the carpet. And I think if that was the case, like us as adolescents would have had a really fun time with the Bernstein Bears. Insert joke here, if you will. But apparently, no. It's always been Stain. It's never been Steen. Um, I'm calling foul on that one too. But but that one's. I mean, it is an example, but it's sort of just like, oh, it's spelled differently. Um, Britney Spears video for "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time." We all remember the schoolgirl uniform. It was pretty iconic when it came out. Like, yeah, she was like all over the place. I remember the plaid skirt, as a lot of people remember the plaid skirt. Apparently, it was black. This is what they're saying, that it was a black skirt, never was plaid. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're an idiot. But it kind of it's like that. It, she was in the schoolgirl uniform. Like to me, I believe it was plaid. And she even made a video like later on when she was like locked inside her house under duress. And she recreated that video and she wore a plaid skirt. So if Brittany remembers it being a plaid skirt, maybe it was. But everywhere else, it's turned black. You can't find that video with her in a plaid skirt. It's always a black one, which I find very odd. What do we go to next? Oh, okay. Also to stay in the Britney Spears thing, there was another video of Oops, I Did It Again, where she had like the microphone, like the little, and if you were to like go and watch the video now, like the microphone's not there, but like everyone remembers her with like the little headset, little kind of Madonna microphone thing. But apparently she never had a microphone. I mean, that's not a big one. I think the skirt is like a little bigger, but it it's still Mandela effect. Um, Now we're gonna get a little nerdy here. We're gonna go into Star Wars. And in the movie, uh Empire Strikes Back. Oh man, I'm definitely my brain is not working today. Empire Strikes Back, the iconic line where Darth Vader tells Luke that he's his father, and we all remember it as Luke, I am your father. Yeah, well, if we're gonna do our Darth Vader voice, we should probably Luke, I am your father. Um, James Earl Jones, yes. Well, apparently, never said Luke. We all remember because I mean, who hasn't like uttered that phrase, "Luke, I am your father"? I guess he says, "No, I am your father." And I don't know, like, why would, like, a group of people, like, all these different people remember that one phrase like that if it never happened? See, this is where I kinda get, like, weird on the Mandela effect. There's too many people that remember it that way. And then also there's another one, and this one, like, as I was researching, I had no idea this ever existed. C C3PO, had a silver leg? Like, I don't remember that at all. I grew up in Star Wars, like, I watched them all the time. I thought he was just, like, always had gold legs. Nope. Apparently one of them was silver, like, and I don't remember that at all. I don't think I've gone back and watched the movie to, like, actually, like, do, like, eagle eye, like, try to figure it out and take a look, but yeah, apparently. Um, Silver leg? Who knew? I don't believe it, but go ahead. Oh, and then this one's kinda huge, Fruit of the Loom. All boys from the '80s, all wore tighty whities, Fruit of the Loom, that was your brand, you know you had them, and you know you saw the logo all the time when you put those things on every morning, and I remember the cornucopia with the fruit coming out of it, as a lot of people do. Apparently was never cornucopia. It was always just a bunch of fruit just hanging out. Um, but there's a lot of people that remember the cornucopia. And one of my buddies even told me that he had heard that Elon Musk actually found a patent for the original Fruit of the Loom, and it has the cornucopia in it. But as much as I researched it, like I couldn't find that anywhere. So if any of you guys know about it, shoot me a DM, let me know, and I'll make it right on here or whatever. But yeah, I remember the cornucopia, but apparently a bunch of people do, but apparently never happened. All right, so why is the reason? We have a few different theories. The first theory that I always kind of like subscribe to, I guess, was that there is a group of people. At first, I thought it was just the government because I think it's always the government. But the more you kind of get into, like, there's people that control the government. You have your committee of 300. Your who else? I say the Illuminati. They. Who are they? Um, but apparently there's a theory that, and I used to believe it, that they are scrubbing the internet. They are gaslighting you. They want you to believe one thing, and they. Eh, I think it's kind of like they want to gaslight you to not really believe what you see, not believe what you remember, not sure whether you're coming or going or what you're doing. That's what. I always believed for the longest time. But as I've grown and I've got into some other stuff, I have another theory. Would you like to hear what that theory is? Okay. Um, I believe in time slips. What are time slips? Well, it's pretty kind of self-explanatory. Um, where there are alternate universes where you slip in and out of different times. So, say there's another alternate universe where there's another Davo doing a podcast right now, alternate universe. But in that one, it's kind of like backwards, and he's talking about how much he loves the government. Mhm. Um, but I feel that there are time slips, and that basically what's happening is, and I feel like it's happening during our dreams. So, like, as we sleep, as we dream, we slip into these alternate realities where we remember things a certain way, and then we come back to this other reality, and it never happened. So, in that alternate reality, there's cornucopias. Come back, no cornucopias on Fruit of the Loom. Uh, that's probably the best one for me. There is another theory, but I'm trying to remember. There was the gaslighting, there was time slips, and then there's I guess it's just different parallel universes that have different things. But I do have my own Mandela effect story. So there was a while back last Christmas. It was right after Christmas, or right around Christmas. I have a 12-year-old daughter who is a huge Nirvana fan, huge grunge fan in general. Yes, we have raised her right. It is amazing, and we are very lucky that she's not bumping Taylor Swift. Um, so huge grunge fan, loves Nirvana. Unfortunately, I'll never get to be able to take her to Nirvana. I think the best thing I could probably do is take her to Foo Fighters, see Dave Grohl. But there was a Nirvana cover band that was kind of like showing up on my timeline. And I was like, oh man, this is cool. That would be awesome to take her to it. So I kind of looked into it, not really, but kind of looked into it. And I can remember posting it on my timeline. And I have a buddy from high school named Mike who commented on that post. And he's like, he asked if I was going to go to it. I was like, oh, I really would like to take my daughter to it, but I'm not really sure. It's a little after Christmas, and money's tight after Christmas, yada yada yada. And he goes, if you happen to go, let me know, because went to college with one of the dudes that plays in the band. He's like, I'll go too. We'll meet up. I could set up a meet and greet for your daughter. I think it would be kind of cool. And I'm, oh my God, that would be awesome. So I put it back in my hat, and I'm like, we should definitely do this. So a few weeks later, my wife sends me a text, and she's like, hey, one of Aria's teachers sent this to me and said it would be cool because she knows that she's a big Nirvana fan. I was like, oh, I was looking into that. And I have a buddy that, knows someone, and we could do a meet and greet. She's like, oh, that would be awesome. She'd be pumped. I'm like, all right, cool. So I wanted to make sure that I remembered everything correctly. So I go into my timeline, and I'm scrolling, and I'm looking for where I post that I wanted to go to the show, and I can't find it anywhere. Like nowhere on my timeline whatsoever. I was like, I know this happened. Like I feel it in my soul. So then I went to check out my messages, maybe like a message back and forth with him. Look at my messages. I haven't talked to that kid. I'm in probably like 20. I mean, we've commented on each other's posts here and there, but I haven't like had a conversation with him in like 20 years. I was like, oh man, this is weird. So I'm like, all right, let's bite the bullet. I was like, maybe it got erased. So I sent him a message, and I say, hey, do you remember we talked about going to the show, and you said you knew someone and you'd be able to do like a meet and greet for me? And it showed that he read the message, but he didn't get back to me right away. And then he got back to me maybe like an hour later, and he's like, hey, yeah, I was thinking about going, but I don't know anyone that's in the band, and um, but I'm not real sure if I'm going because it's around the same time that Fish was playing Madison Square Garden. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. So like, I'm like, what the hell happened? So I go and talk to my wife later on. I was like, hey, listen, like, I don't have an inside to like this show. I mean, we could still like go to the show. It'd be cool. And she goes, She was like, "Wow, that's weird." And I was like, "Yeah, it's kinda like, I don't know, like, I feel like it happened, but," and she was like, "Oh, you had a time slip." And I was like, "What do you mean a time slip?" And she's like, "You had a time slip. You went into a different time, different reality. You remember having this conversation with this guy, and then you slip back into this one." And I was like, "Oh my god." So, mind blown. So that's my theory. That's my theory of Mandela effect. I feel time slips are happening, and it's bigger than us, if you will. Um, so that's kind of it. That's kind of, I just wanted to get into Mandela effect. I'm a big fan of it. I think there's a couple different options, whether or not they're scrubbing the internet and gaslighting us to make us think certain things, or if it is time slips, I'm going with number 2, definitely time slips, but, let me know what you think. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It officially the first episode, something weird, something to talk about. I hope you check it out, and I hope you like it, and I hope you share it, and, let's keep this thing rolling. Let's have some fun, all right? So, this is Davo saying, I used to have a different saying. I used to say something like, "It's been real, it's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun." And then someone told me that when you say that, it kind of feels like people just wasted their time with you. And I was like, well, I just thought it was quirky. But the more I think about it, I was like, yeah, maybe it does sound like they're kind of wasting their time with me. So, um, in closing, we can say it's always goodbye. It's always farewell. The day I slow down will be a cold day in hell. See ya. Be good, guys. Peace.